Sometimes you just gotta give yourself what you want from someone else.
I'm confused.
Get up each morning and look at yourself in the mirror and see yourself not as someone who is overweight, but someone you will become.
Did you just call me fat?
No. What I'm trying to say here is, anger is nothing more than an outward expression of hurt, fear, and frustration.
Huh? That doesn't help.
Are you nuts? You have the duty and the gift of living. You don't have the right to sit on the sidelines. Use your life. Get back in the game.
You know, in some twisted sort of way, that actually made some sense.
This is going to be a changing day in your life.
Anyways, the pressure was on to add 2 more leagues to an already full plate. So, in order to avoid all the psychotic meltdowns that I had last year, this year I decided to be proactive and do my homework on all the current and new owners for this year. So I came up with this brilliant idea to give all of them a personality test.
Oh, I love those things. Well, can you just explain to me, give to me exactly what kind of questions you asked?
Well, I started off by just giving some picture questions. You know, the kind where you look at a picture and you answer a question about it. And, well, why don't we just take a look at some of the questions and answers for yourselves?
Well, Steve, you don't need on high heels to root for the home team. I mean, you're going to have to realize that these guys have other things going on in their head than fantasies. I mean, fantasy football. So what that's going to mean for you is you're going to have to be more than a commissioner to them. You're going to have to be their friend.
But, Dr. Phil, that was just part of the test. I mean, there were like 3 other parts of disturbing answers.
And we'll look at another part of that test when we return.
Do you ever have trouble making your draft picks? When you're on the clock, do you ever have trouble making a decision? Well, fear no more, because now you can use the Drafter. The Drafter makes your picks and puts it on the board for you.
I put all my trust in the Drafter. The Drafter works for me.
Draft on, draft off. Draft on, draft off. The Drafter. Using the Drafter does not guarantee you win the Super Bowl.
Welcome back. Today I'm sitting here with Steve. Steve is a fantasy football commissioner who's got his knickers all in a bunch over some Wonderlic test that he gave to all of his owners. Well, Steve, like my mom always told me, you don't have to have cat scratch fever to whistle while you work.
What does that even mean? Anyways, the next thing that I gave them was a list of well-known proverbs, and I left the end off, so they had to finish the proverbs. And the answers were, well, just take a look for yourself. Now, Dr. Phil, that last guy was the pastor of our church. How am I supposed to deal with something like that?
Now just calm down there, son. You don't need a horseshoe collection to keep the salt on your Fruit Loops. Now those questions' answers may seem a little bizarre to you, but to other people, it may seem like someone just opened up a can of sausage and flapjacks. Well, let me ask you a serious question. If you were starving and your foot was a loaf of bread, would you eat it?
I don't understand the question.
Now don't jerk me around. It's a simple question. Even a baby could answer it. If your foot were a loaf of bread, would you eat it?
Yes?
Well, that's the kind of answer I was hoping you'd come up with. You're making strides. But I get the feeling that the barn door is still wide open and your cat's in there howling at the moon. Now I'll help you close that barn door and keep that cat in there right after we return from these messages. I like sports. I went to Cedarville. I was 4 foot tall when I was born.
Things Ryan Husband would say.
Next. Oh boy. Not very smart. Live in Lebanon. Miss Aunt Garney.
Things Tim McKenzie would say.
Next. I run like a gazelle. If I wore spandex, I'd still need a belt. When playing left field, I'm often mistaken for the foul pole.
Things Ben Camilla would say.
Next. I'm a nurse.
Things Barb Harris would say.
Love to cook.
Things Patty Osner would say.
I give really great sponge baths.
See, Big Steve Pauly would say.